Hey everyone, Renee here. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're doing the mid-year book freakout tag. So I can't believe that it's actually time to film this. When I saw everyone start doing it, I was like, that's so early. And then I was like, it's June. And I am kind of freaking out about it. I'm freaking out about the books. I'm freaking out about time. I'm freaking out about life. So how fitting to do this freakout tag because wow. So we're just gonna delve right into this and start freaking out about the books. And the first question is the best book you've read so far in 2021. And that is kind of hard to pinpoint because I have had three new all-time favorites this year. And I kind of blame that on my pause from reading for a few years, so I'm kind of just playing catch up this year. So yeah, that being said, I have three. But I'm gonna say my favorite so far is probably The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. I do not physically own this, unfortunately, but it is definitely a new all-time favorite of mine, probably my favorite of the year so far. It is absolutely stunning, beautifully written, amazing character development, very, very, very character-driven. Character-driven in the most beautiful way. It is written in the most beautiful way. It made me cry. Oh, it made me cry. I loved it so much. I hold it very dear to my heart. There were a lot of quotable moments in there that were just so relatable to me at this given point in my life. Yeah, this book, it means a lot to me. It meant a lot to me when I read it, and I love it. But I do still want to talk about the other two that made its way onto my top books of all time, and one of those is Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. So this book essentially took all the expectations that I had for it and blew them all the way across the country. Literally shattered all expectations. This book was so incredible, so well written. I loved all the characters. I loved the story. I loved the interview format, and I just adored this book. It essentially follows a rock band in the 70s, and it talks about how they came to be and how they broke up at the end. And I thought that it was just very beautifully written. I already talked about this extensively in a wrap-up, but I just really appreciated how they handled addiction in this book. I loved the growth of all of these characters and the connection that all of them had, and it was just beautiful, stunning. And then the other one that made its way up to my top books of all time was The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. This is what I listened to on audiobook, and oh my gosh, this book made me so happy. Like, I still think about the characters all the time. Olive and Ethan, think about them constantly. Every time I go out to a restaurant and I have Mai Tais, I'm just like, Olive and Ethan. This book had such a lasting impression on me, and I did not expect it at all. This was a huge surprise, and it's perfect for the summer. So while summer's still happening and you haven't read it yet, you should read it. You should read it. Number two is the best sequel you've read so far in 2021. And I'm not gonna lie, I think I've only read like 2 or 3 sequels this year. I have started a bunch of series and not finished them because that's just how I am. That's just what I do. I start series and then I don't read the next book until like the next year. I don't know why, I just can't binge something. Binging one thing is very hard for me because I'm so scattered and chaotic that I just want to start everything. So, that being said, I haven't read that many sequels, but out of the few sequels that I've read, the only one that I've liked has been, surprisingly, Broken Prince by Aaron Watt. This is the second book in the Royals series, and this is a romance. It is, in my opinion, more of a trashy cliche type of romance. It's kind of like a Cinderella story almost. Like, our main character, she has nothing. You know, her family has died, she's alone, she's stripping to make a living, and she ends up getting taken in by her deceased father's best friend. I'm pretty sure it's best friend. So she goes to live with him in his mansion with his 5 sons. It's incredibly dramatic, it's very cliche, and it's definitely more of like a trash type romance, but it's like junk food. I think I said this before. It's literally like junk food where you know it's bad, like you know it's not good for you, but there's something addictive about it that you just like keep eating it anyway. That's me with this book. Like, I don't care how dumb people think this storyline is, it is so freaking addicting that I will continue to read this. Question number 3 is a new release you haven't read yet but want to. I have 2 here that I physically own. The first one is Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This should need no introduction since I just told you about Daisy Jones. Of course I want to read her new book. This is another more historical book. It takes place when? The 80s. As far as I know, it revolves around a summer party and this family, and yeah, that's all I really need to know. It just sounds like a nice, fun summer vibe, even though I definitely think it's probably going to have a more serious note to it. I'm for it. And then the other one that I have is Ace of Spades. Now, this was one of my most anticipated releases of the year, like from the very beginning of the year. So I just got this the other day and I'm super excited to pick it up. But it is a dark academia book that focuses on institutionalized racism as well. And I have just heard nothing but great things about this from everyone who's read it so far. And I really think this is going to end up being one of my favorite books of the year. I'm just super, super excited about this book. Then the next question is your most anticipated release for the second half of the year. Now, I actually have two. I couldn't decide which one I was more excited for than the other because I'm super excited about both of these. The first one I am very grateful to actually have an arc of, and that is My Heart is a Chainsaw by Stephen Graham Jones. This comes out August 31st of this year. It is a horror, and it is a more slasher-based horror, like small town type slasher. People are going missing. I'm here for it. I'm so stoked. And then the other one is You've Reached Sam by Justin Tao. This just sounds like I'm going to literally cry my entire water weight in tears. But this is exactly the type of stuff that I love in a book. I love when a book just like literally hits my heart so hard that I feel like I'll never be right again. And that's what this book is making me feel like. So yes. And then if you don't know what You've Reached Sam is about, this book follows our main character who pretty much has everything planned out, and a lot of it revolves around her boyfriend Sam. And then one day Sam unfortunately dies, and she is just a mess, and she obviously misses him so much. And you know, she calls his cell phone and expects it to just go to voicemail, but then Sam actually picks up the phone. So it's giving me P.S. I Love You vibes, if you've ever seen that movie where like her significant other dies, but he left her a chain of letters after he died to like help her get back on her feet and help her move on. I definitely am getting that vibe from here. So I'm definitely intrigued to see how that goes, but just the whole premise of it sounds like it's gonna break my heart, and therefore I'm ready. Then question 5 is the biggest disappointment of the year, and that is without a doubt Mexican Gothic by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. I read this book last month and I was hoping to love it. A gothic horror set in Mexico, right up my alley. I was vibing until I opened the book and then I wasn't. One of the most boring books I've ever read in my life. One of the dumbest twists I've ever read in my life. And I know that some people really like this book. I unfortunately do not. And please don't hate me for answering this question very honestly, because that's what this tag is about. It's just freaking out over things you've read. And this definitely freaked me out in a bad way because I really wanted to like it and I didn't. So yes, I'm sorry, but it's this one. Next question is biggest surprise, and I actually talked about this earlier, but it's gonna go to The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren because I never thought that I would really be into like the beachy summer type of romances, but I've definitely been proved wrong this year. I definitely am very much into those types of books. But I also just didn't expect it to become an all-time favorite. I did not expect to like it nearly as much as I did. If anything, I thought it would be just an average, like, you know, soft, fluffy romance that I would forget about in a few months. But no, the fact that I think about this book as much as I do, incredible. I can't recommend this book enough. If you want like a rom-com, funny, just soft read, this is so good. If you don't know what this book follows, it essentially follows our main two characters, Olive and Ethan, who end up taking their siblings' honeymoons. Their siblings ended up getting married to each other. The bride and groom included, with everyone else in the wedding party, ended up getting sick with food poisoning, like a very severe food poisoning from the buffet, except for Olive and Ethan because they did not eat the buffet. So they went on the honeymoon instead of their siblings, but it's funny because they actually hate each other. They hate each other. So you get to see their banter throughout the story, and it's such good banter, and then the growth of their relationship and just the overall story of the experience on their honeymoon was just amazing. I loved it so much. Number 7 is a favorite new author. Now, I don't often pick favorite authors because I feel like every author can write a bad book. I genuinely don't think I have a favorite author right now, but an author that has impressed me enough to be in the running for one of my favorite authors this year is definitely Emily Henry. So I read both Beach Read and The People We Meet on Vacation by her this year, and they're both 5 stars. I rated them both 5 stars. I adored these books so much. How she writes her characters is just so engrossing to me. Like, I loved them. Beach Read made me cry a lot. and the people we meet on vacation made me laugh a lot. And I just cannot speak enough about how much Emily Henry has really surprised me, but I definitely think if the rest of her books are like this, then I'm just gonna love her. So I'm gonna give this one to Emily Henry. So question number 8 is your newest fictional crush. And I'm gonna give that to Hawk in the From Blood and Ash series. Wow, he is book boyfriend material. Wow, 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 wow. He's swoon worthy for sure. I haven't found a book boyfriend in a while. It's been a while since I was able to like read a book and be like, oh, that's the one. But when I read this book, I knew immediately he was the one. The one. And actually, the next question is your favorite fictional character in general that you've read so far this year. And I'm going to give that to Poppy from the From Blood and Ash series. She's a badass. She's a sassy queen. She is just amazing, strong, incredible. Yes, we love her. So Hawk and Poppy, we're doing all the right things. So thank you, Jennifer L. Armentrout, for writing really good characters. Thank you. Question number 10 is a book that made you cry, and I already said that Beach Read made me cry. Also, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue made me cry, but there is a book that stands above all others in how much I cried this year, and that is Orange, the complete collection. I have Orange Volume 1 and 2. I read them both this year. I read 1 in January and 2 in March, I think. The amount of tears that were shed reading this story is out of this world. I cried so much, but this story is so incredible. Like, honestly, my new favorite manga of all time. Absolutely adored it. It is heartbreaking. It follows this group of friends. There's 3 here and 3 here. And essentially, they all get letters from themselves in the future. And the letters in the future are trying to help them in the past rewrite something to fix a regret that burdens them all in the future. And the regret is that their friend unfortunately does die, and they are just trying to help themselves in the past prevent that from happening again, like being there for him and supporting him and inevitably helping him not take his own life, because that's what he did. He took his own life, and it's heavy and it hurts and it's so sad, but I also laughed and I was moved, and it's just heartwarming and heartbreaking at the same time. And yeah, I'm gonna get emotional just thinking about it, but this is phenomenal. Such a phenomenal story. Yes. And then we're gonna follow that up with a book that made you happy. And I'm gonna give that to Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. This book made me happy so much. This is rom-com to its finest. This is sassy female characters. This is a beautiful and steamy romance. This is laughter. This is just everything. Like, this is the one right here. Like, if you just want a nice heartwarming laugh, read this, or any of the Brown sisters books. I'm currently reading Dani Brown, and it's amazing as well, and it's just such a feel-good type of story that I absolutely adored, and I'm so glad I read it because it is phenomenal. Phenomenal. Question number 12 is the most beautiful book you've bought or received this year. I'm gonna say that is Sweet and Bitter Magic by Adrienne Tooley. This is the Owlcrate exclusive. So this has the beautiful purple sprayed edges and the hues of purple all throughout. Now, I find this so beautiful because this is one of my favorite colors, and just the gradients of it with the sprayed edges is just stunning. Like, this is probably one of my favorite books to just look at because it is beautiful. And you have 2 beautiful witches on the cover, and it's just giving me all the vibes, and I just think it's stunning. And lastly is question number 13, and that is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? And I have a question in regards to that question, and that is, what books do I not have to read by the end of the year? I'm not going to sit here and list all of them out because my TBR, both physical and not owned, are just, woo-ha! It's a lot. It's a lot. It's stressing me out, but also not, because it's just books. It's just reading. You know, we do this for fun, but there are a lot of books that I want to get to by the end of the year. So that being said, I don't really have an answer because how can I answer that question? I can't. So yeah, that is essentially me freaking out mid-year about the books that I've read so far. I've had a really good reading year so far. I've read 38 books so far this year. And my goal for the end of the year is 75. So I am on track to make that goal. If I can exceed it, that would be awesome. Like, I think my my big goal. Like if I beat my like Goodreads goal is 100. But yeah, I'm not gonna stress if I don't make it. So yeah, that is pretty much all I have for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I love this tag. I love tags in general. I kind of want to start doing more tags because they're just really fun. And being able to kind of recap halfway through the year on my reading journey so far is just wonderful. I had a lot of fun filming this actually. So yeah. If you like this video, please don't forget to hit the thumbs up down below to help support this channel, and also subscribe if you'd like to continue following me on my reading journey. And once again, like always, all of my social medias will also be down below. Instagram, Twitter, Goodreads, wherever you want to follow me, it'll all be down below. Keep up with me wherever. And yeah, once again, I hope you like this video, and I'll see you in the next one.